In the headlines, South Korea's point man on North Korea embarks on a week-long trip to the U.S. aimed at seeking understanding on Seoul's approach to Pyongyang. Organizers of the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics slam an option proposed by the IOC to share the event with another country. And protesters decrying the chokehold death of Eric Garner flood a California highway and get violent. Welcome to the program, everyone. Hope your week is off to a great start. Coming to you live from Seoul, I am Kang Tae-ri.
And I'm Sean Lim. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We begin with bilateral talks to move forward with issues with Pyongyang to build new momentum for inter-Korean affairs. South Korean unification minister Ryoo Kihl-jae has embarked for the United States.
It's a week-long trip that will take him to Washington as well as Los Angeles. Topping his agenda will be issues and policies related to North Korea. Our Hwang Sung-hee has more.
In Washington, South Korean Unification Minister Ryoo Kihl-jae will meet with senior officials, including Under-Secretary of State for Political Affairs Wendy Sherman and lawmakers vocal on North Korea issues such as Ed Royce and Marco Rubio. His trip marks the first visit to the U.S. by a South Korean unification minister since 2011 and comes as Seoul seeks out new momentum in inter-Korean relations. A senior South Korean official told reporters that the government must actively consider incentives for North Korea to resolve the issue of war-separated families who are now in their 80s and 90s. Stressing its utmost importance, the official said it would be an international shame if the government failed to resolve the matter. Although he did not elaborate on what the incentives could be, it's widely speculated South Korea is considering the lifting of economic sanctions imposed on the North in 2010. The sanctions came after North Korea torpedoed a South Korean warship, killing 46 soldiers. The official stressed Pyongyang must apologize for the attack for the sanctions to be lifted, but added all issues will be open for discussion if the two Koreas meet for talk. Pundits say the South Korean government should seek a package deal that includes an apology from the North for the 2010 attack, the lifting of sanctions, and the issue of war-separated families for a much-needed breakthrough in inter-Korean relations. Hwang Sung-hee, Arirang News.
And North Korea was also on President Park Geun-hye's mind this Monday, addressing a room full of political as well as economic leaders from across the globe. She brought their attention to her vision for a trust politic. So once again, our presidential office correspondent Choi Yoo-sun brings us the details.
In an era where countries are mutually dependent and intertwined like a spider web, President Park Geun-hye says North Korea's nuclear development is a grave threat to peace not only on the Korean peninsula and in Northeast Asia, but to the entire world. At the annual World Policy Conference in Seoul Monday, the South Korean president referred to her trust politic plan, which seeks to build trust, expand non-political exchanges and economic cooperation with the North, then in Northeast Asia and beyond across Eurasia. President Park, however, said Pyongyang should also take the initiative for laying down its nuclear arms so that the international community can help with its economic development. As for Korea's complex relationship with China and Japan over historical and territorial differences, the Korean leader said that three countries can do so much more together in areas such as nuclear safety and tackling climate change, similar to a multilateral process in Europe. And then came her vision to connect Asia and Europe by constructing energy and logistics infrastructure to spur regional growth and restore stability. President Park also shared her belief that a reunification of the two Koreas would be a bonanza for all of humanity.
특히 한반도의 평화 통일은 평화와 번영의 새로운 동북아 시대를 열고 유라시아를 넘어 세계 평화와 안보를 위한 글로벌 거버넌스 강화에 중요한 기여를 할 것입니다.
The three-day forum will also address global issues, including the crisis in Ukraine and the threat of Islamic State militants in the Middle East. 최유선, Arirang News.
North Korea has denied its involvement in the recent cyber attack on Sony Pictures, but its National Defense Commission did say that the hack might be, quote, the righteous deed of the supporters and sympathizers of North Korea. Last week's cyber attack completely paralyzed Sony Pictures' computer systems and leaked a handful of unreleased films, including the movie The Interview. The film depicts the assassination of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and is due for release in the U.S. this month. Meanwhile, Bloomberg, quoting an unnamed source, is reporting that the attack originated from a hotel in Bangkok.
In a bid to save costs and ensure sustainability, Korea's Pyeongchang, the host city for the 2018 Winter Olympics, has been given the option of holding a few of the events in foreign venues. The International Olympic Committee says its proposal is part of reform measures, but with even Nagano, Japan among the recommended sites, that might not sit well with organizers. Our Song Ji-sun tells us more.
It took Pyeongchang 3 attempts to win the rights to host the Winter Olympics. But when the flame is lit and the Games get underway in February 2018, some of the events could be taking place elsewhere. The International Olympic Committee has offered a Pyeongchang Organizing Committee the chance to host some of the events in other countries. The decision will be Pyeongchang's to make, though. The IOC's Coordination Commissioner Gunilla Lindberg told AP that Pyeongchang gets the final say on whether the Games stay within the city or whether it takes the opportunity to host some events elsewhere. These proposals are part of the IOC President Thomas Bach's package of reforms dubbed Agenda 2020. The agenda is part of the IOC's bid to change the Olympic Games to better adapt in the changing world for financial and sustainability reasons.
If we do not address these challenges here and now, we will be hit by them very soon. If we do not drive these changes ourselves, others will drive us to them.
According to the IOC, hosting sledding events in pre-existing venues would save Pyeongchang $120 million in construction costs and up to $5 million a year in maintenance. After voting on Agenda 2020 on Monday and Tuesday, the IOC will hand over a list of potential cities to the Pyeongchang Organizing Committee, which has until March to make its decision. The candidates include Nagano in Japan and Salt Lake City in the U.S., as well as 10 other sites in Europe, America, and Asia. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
And in response to the IOC's proposal, President Park Geun-hye called the idea of sharing the event with other countries an unacceptable option. Meanwhile, organizers of the Pyeongchang Organizing Committee said if the IOC attempts to push this idea forward, they would resist. And the governor of Gangwon-do province, where Pyeongchang is located, says it would be impossible to change event venues now, as construction on 6 new stadiums is already underway.
It's confirmed the Japanese economy is in recession, and it shrank more than initially expected in the third quarter of this year, casting doubt over the effectiveness of Abenomics and brewing speculation over possible cuts in price forecast. Our Hwang Ji has the details.
Expectations of economic growth in Japan have been thwarted, with the government announcing worse than expected third quarter figures on Monday. Japan's economy contracted nearly 2% in the 3 months leading up to the end of September from a year earlier. That is well above an initial forecast of 1.6%. The recession largely stems from a drop in business spending that plunged 0.4% from the second quarter. Earlier forecasts pointed to a 0.2% dip. Despite the drop, the Nikkei recovered the 18,000 mark for the first time in more than 7 years.
This weak data just simply suggests that Japan is not out of the woods yet. We've already seen more reaction on the monetary side. We know that the elections are coming up, and therefore that it most likely is that Mr. Abe will continue his existing have a new term in terms of setting policy in Japan. And I think the prospects of that, which seems to be quite likely, is what keeps the Japanese market drifting higher.
In the second quarter, the world's third largest economy shrank more than 7% from the previous year, the biggest slump since March 2011. The contraction has set off alarm bells and prompted Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to call a snap election in hopes of postponing another tax increase to 10%, which is scheduled for next year. The revised down third quarter figures come just days before the national elections. On top of the data showing that Japan slipped into recession for 2 straight quarters, slumping oil prices are raising expectations for a cut in inflation forecasts by the Bank of Japan next month. Hwang Ji-hye, Arirang News.
Mobile advertising continues to boom in Korea, and some experts predict that soon the online ad market will be dominated by the mobile sector as opposed to PCs. Kim Hyun-bin has more on the forecast.
The internet prompted advertisers to reallocate big chunks of their budgets from television to online media. Now, they have shifted their focus to the mobile phone advertising market. It's a market that has grown significantly here since the advent of the smartphone. And experts believe it's only a matter of time before the trend set by Korea will be followed by other nations. According to a new report by U.S. market research, eMarketer, the amount of money spent on mobile advertisements made up more than 38% of all online ads taken out by Korean businesses this year. That's up 18 percentage points from 2013, and well above the international mean of 26% for this year. But there's plenty of room for growth. The report predicts that mobile advertisements will surpass online advertisements by the end of next year, and will make up more than 73% of the total online market by 2018. When the international average will approach 60%. Expect a similar boom in the mobile payment transaction market. In the first quarter of 2013, the market stood at a little over $1 billion in Korea. Just months later, by the end of the third quarter, the number has soared more than threefold to roughly $3.5 billion. With smartphones now in the pockets of so many people, expect advertisers and businesses to continue tapping into them, with hopes of reaching as many potential customers as possible. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Staying with the future of tech, now on to some more technological advances for disabled users. Our Kim Min-ji introduces us to devices that enable the handicapped to live with more ease and independence.
Technology continues to find new ways to enrich our lives. This tablet PC can translate sign language. A 3D sensor detects the sign language and interprets it into text or sound.
Hello, my name is Ryan. What's your name?
When words are spoken, they are shown as text on the screen. The tablet created by technicians with hearing impairments expands the scope of communication between the disabled and non-disabled. This device aids people with visual impairments. A camera on the side of the glass reads text on the products. When you place your finger on the text, the speaker plays it out loud. It can also inform the wearer of the color of traffic lights and the value of cash they are holding.
$50.
Thank you very much.
The technology enables users to ride the bus alone and read menus, making their lives more convenient than ever. Devices that help patients who are paralyzed from the waist down walk have also become more sophisticated. Made using fiber, this robot outfit allows the walking to look more natural. It can also detect obstacles that may be in the way.
Wearable robot to really help with walking. It's really critical for it to provide the right level of assistance at the right time for the wearer.
These are technological developments that no doubt inspire hope in millions of disabled people worldwide. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
The entertainment agencies here in Korea, mainly behind the K-pop and K-drama crazes, are not limiting themselves to only those two areas and are turning their eyes to other industries. Some of them include fashion and travel. For this week's Industry Insight, here's our Connie Kim.
Fantastic, baby.
Big Bang, Girls' Generation, Super Junior. There are few K-pop stars who have taken the world by storm, capped off, of course, by Psy and his YouTube hit Gangnam Style. Behind every great act in Korea is an entertainment agency that cultivates and promotes them. And leading the pack is YG Entertainment, one of the powerhouses driving the so-called Hallyu, or Korean wave. Founded in 1996, it created a success formula with idol groups like Big Bang and 21 and went public on Korea's tech-heavy Kosdaq stock market 3 years ago. YG now boasts annual revenue of some $104 million, more than 250 employees, and more than 20 artists under its belt. On the back of their success, entertainment giants are now branching out to other businesses. In September, YG launched apparel brand Nonigan, using its fashionable artists who influence fans all over the world to market it. Through pop-up stores in Italy, Hong Kong, and China, it aims to rake in $90 million by 2017.
I've always thought that fashion and music go in line together. When we think of Big Bang and 21, we think of their songs, but behind their performances, it's their styling and fashion that makes them a whole.
It even jumped on the popularity of Korean cosmetics with its own line, Moonshot, targeting K-pop fans with Asian facial features. Recognizing YG's growth potential, French luxury goods giant LVMH has announced it'll invest up to $80 million in the company. While YG may be at the top right now when it comes to branching out, it's not the first. SM Entertainment, a Hallyu pioneer, started diversifying its business 2 years ago. It acquired travel agency BTNI, offering music fans special concert tours in Korea. And last year, SM collaborated with publisher Design House to release the lifestyle magazine The Celebrity, printing an average of 80,000 copies a month.
As these SM and YG are entering these businesses, they could probably see some synergy when they utilize their artists in those areas. And as from customer standpoint, if they get more touch points,
market watchers say it's important for them to keep their capital flowing, as it's too early to call these ventures a success. To promote their new businesses, it's also vital to keep the K-pop boom going.
In addition to reaching out to other industries, it's important that they stick to their original source of profit, producing good music to expand their fan base worldwide.
If YG and SM's new business ventures enjoy the same success that K-pop has, it'll not only provide a new source for profits, it'll also give a boost to a new kind of Korean wave. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
The outrage in the U.S. over two grand jury decisions not to indict white police officers in the deaths of two unarmed black men continues to mount.
With more, we turn to Son Jung-in at the News Center. Jung-in, so the demonstrations continued in major cities for a fifth day running.
That's right. Most of the protests have been peaceful, but a number of them later turned somewhat violent, with angry demonstrators throwing explosives at officers. Our Shin Se-min reports with more.
Signs saying things like, "I can't breathe," and "Black Lives Matter" fill the streets of major U.S. cities in protest, some of which were peaceful, some of which were violent. The ongoing marches and protests in major cities like New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, and Oakland were all spurred last week by a grand jury that decided not to indict a white police officer in a chokehold death of an unarmed black man, Eric Garner. Some of the demonstrations have turned violent. In the Northern California city of Oakland, protesters poured onto a highway late Sunday night and threw explosives, injuring two officers. City officers responded with tear gas and arrests. In New York, protesters chanted, "Don't shoot, hands up," as they marched through the streets of Manhattan, while others staged a symbolic die-in by lying down on the floor of Grand Central Terminal. The families of the victim joined civil rights activist Al Sharpton on Staten Island at the site where Garner died in July. They thanked protesters across the country. Sharpton also announced plans to organize more rallies in the near future and to press for charges against the police officer in question, Daniel Pantaleo, at the federal level. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Over in the Philippines, the powerful storm that hit the country over the weekend has weakened, causing less damage than feared. Thousands of people are now heading home after about 1 million were evacuated from vulnerable areas. Typhoon Hagupit, which made landfall on Saturday, killed at least 21 people, with the eastern island of Samar worst hit, according to Red Cross officials. The storm brought winds of up to 175 kilometers an hour, knocking down power and phone lines and flattening homes. Meanwhile, Seoul's foreign ministry has issued a travel warning for the region, where some 1,000 South Korean travelers are believed to be grounded. Over in Washington, a Mid-East policy conference was held where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry hailed a strong relationship between their two countries. Both reiterated cooperation in tackling some of the most pressing issues in the Middle East, including Iran's nuclear program and the rapid rise of Islamic State militants. However, they show differences in opinion on how to approach the nuke talks. Netanyahu said they need to further increase pressure on the country to give up its atomic weapons ambitions. Kerry, on the other hand, urged patience, saying that the process would have to show tangible progress was being made in order to seal a durable agreement that would make the entire world a peaceful space. And lastly, Britain's royal couple are on their first official visit to the U.S., which includes their first experience with the Big Apple. Prince William and Kate Middleton, who arrived in New York City Sunday evening, were warmly welcomed by a throng of media and excited admirers who wished the Duchess well as she is expecting her second child in April. Prince William is slated to meet with U.S. President Barack Obama at the White House on Monday before attending a World Bank conference in Washington, during which he is expected to speak about combating illegal trade in wildlife parks. Kate, meanwhile, is scheduled to tour a child development center with the First Lady of New York. And that wraps up our look at international stories making headlines around the world.
Hello and welcome. I'm Stephen Che with a look at sports. South Korean ladies won the gold at the latest World Taekwondo Federation World Cup Taekwondo Team Championships in Mexico to uphold their dominance in the competition. In the finals against Cote d'Ivoire, they blew up a 1-point lead in the first round to a 13-point lead by the second, earning the 47-25 victory after 3 rounds. Kim Hae-jung was named the female MVP as the South Korean ladies won their 5th gold medal of 6 Taekwondo team championships since 2006. The men, meanwhile, won the bronze after falling to eventual champions Russia in the semis. Moving on, fast-rising golfer Kim Hyo-joo swept the top honors at the KLPGA Awards ceremony. The 19-year-old won 3 majors in 5 total wins on the KLPGA Tour. And having earned the most wins, shot the lowest scoring average, and topped the money list, she was honored with the Best Player, Special, and Grand Prize awards. Kim will play on the LPGA Tour in 2015, having earned a spot with a major win at the Evian Championship this season. She'll be joined by fellow Koreans Kim Se-young, Jang Ha-na, Kim Soo-bin, and Park Ju-young, who earned tour cards at the LPGA qualifying tournament over the weekend. And now to the live games on Monday. First to the KBL, the Anyang KGC played host to the LG Sakers. And both start off strong, but LG jumps to the big lead after taking over the third quarter. Davon Jefferson leads all scorers with 20 points, and Kim Shi-dae dishes out 7 assists as the Sakers piece together a win after 3 straight losses. And finishing up with pro volleyball. First to the ladies with the IBK Altos facing the Hyundai ENC Hill State in Hwaseong. And the Hill State faced some opposition while taking the first and second sets, but dominate the home team in the final set. They win in straight sets, 4-6 in a row. Meanwhile, over in Cheonan, the Hyundai Capital Skywalkers and KEPCO Big Storm battle to the deciding 5th set. There, KEPCO comes alive at key moments to win the set and match 3-2. And that wraps it up for sports. Stay tuned for the weather up next. Have a great night.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle Park here with the latest weather forecast. Now, currently the sky is looking pretty clear due to the high pressure front, and temperatures have eased up compared to last week, with daytime highs now peaking above the freezing point. And these milder conditions are expected to last for a few days until Wednesday, that is, when snow is expected nationwide, lasting through Thursday, pulling down the mercury once again. And to our readings for tomorrow, so we'll start off the Tuesday morning at -6 degrees before reaching up to 5 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, the southern cities such as Daegu and Busan will reach up to 8 and 10 degrees. And moving over to other regions, Jeju Island peaks to 10, Dokdo hits lower at 5 degrees, while Mancheongang reaches down to 0. Well, that's all for now. Michelle Park, and back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And that's Primetime News for this Monday. I am Kang Cheri. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Sean Lim. Have a great start to the week. We'll see you soon.